coup in Niger.
Yeah.
Right? Lots of things happening in the last 24 to 48 hours. Germany has pulled out its aid, according to a news article on DW, which is obviously the German government mouthpiece, and their national network. Also, what we were sent through in the production meeting by Tina's about the generals in, is it Mali and Burkina Faso?
Yeah.
Giving a bit of a veiled threat to ECOWAS, obviously, which is, the region in that Western African region area. And also, so let's get a deeper discussion into this Niger issue. Why is there so much consternation around the world for Niger? Because a lot of people would not know Niger. A lot of people would know Nigeria, of course, through football, music, the Afro beats and all that stuff. So let's talk about Niger at the moment. Joe, what are your thoughts?
Firstly, I still have a few questions why this coup actually happened in the first place. Because in Niger, do they have any oil?
I'm not sure about oil. Well, most of those countries end up having something, but I think it's more on the side of influence rather than about the natural resources. Because I was reading something that was saying Niger was now the base of operations for France's push on this anti-jihadist operations. After having been kicked out of Mali and Burkina Faso. So they were kicked out of there and then went to Mali and then based themselves there. And then a lot of people in in that country then began to feel like the president there was what's the word? Please. The word just ran away from me, but basically was supporting Western forces, Western allies. Basically, yes, he was. Yeah. So that's one of the main reasons why.
Is it because the U.S.
Sorry, go on, Joe.
Oh, so I'm saying, is it because the U.S. built their air base in Niger and the France, one article was saying that there is about 1,500 troops in Niger. Is it for that anti-terrorist program or?
Yeah, so what they're saying is that France and the US put in bases in there because of insurgencies, which is happening. They say that in Niger, you've got groups such as Al Qaeda and other affiliates and Boko Haram operating in the country. And that influence is growing because of that Sahel region. I think at the start of this discussion, we talked about the Sahel region. We can elaborate a bit more with that region from Mauritania all the way to Sudan. It's a whole strip just underneath the Sahara Desert and just above Nigeria and Cameroon, where it stretches all that from Mauritania, as I said, to Sudan. And Niger is right in the middle of trade between Algeria, Libya, to the north, and then obviously to your west, you've got Sudan. So Niger is
strategic.
It's a strategic position for any chatter, any information which is happening. Niger is very critical. And obviously, there's another article from the conversation which we're having, is that the US even in 2019 set up a drone
base there
for their drones. So a lot of what the military who ended up doing the coup or the presidential guard is saying that there's a lot of foreign influence in the country. So now we don't know is it foreign influence which is coming from the West, and now they want to focus from foreign influence from the East.
A very interesting thing I was also reading on Wikipedia. There's a page on Wikipedia about this. and it's saying at the same time, along with anti-French sentiment, a current of thought favorable to the entry of Russian influence and the Wagner Group mercenary company began to grow. Russia, through Wagner, has been gaining ground on the French in the region, following the latest coups in Mali and Burkina Faso. So, if you saw that video that I was showing you guys, these Burkina Faso and Mali are openly supporting Russia and Russia's influence in Africa, basing it on what Russia has done for Africa in the past. Because as we all know, most countries that had that fought colonialism were backed by Russia. Zimbabwe, Mozambique, at some point, and I think Tanzania. Was it Tanzania or was it Malawi as well? So that history with Africa, I think is now gaining momentum, and we should say, France in that region has not done a very good job of actually helping those countries grow. They have actually taken away money from those countries and actually boosted the economy using those countries' money. And I think most of these were still using monies that are printed in France. Can you believe it?
Yeah. So an article from the BBC.
They
dated,
also borrow money from.
Go ahead, Joe. Sorry.
No, I'm saying money is printed in France, and any money or any revenue that comes out of those countries is reserved in France. And if they need any money to do any development, they have to borrow from France and pay back with interest, borrowing their own money. So France has not been kind to these countries.
Yeah, and according to a BBC article dated the 1st of August, 2023, it says Niger hosts a military base. So it hosts a French military base. It hosts, their USA drone base. And it is the world's 7th biggest producer of uranium. The fuel is vital for nuclear power, with a quarter of it going to Europe, especially former colonial power France. Right? Since General Chiani overthrew the president in a coup on 26 July, Russian colors have suddenly appeared on the streets.
See?
So you see, the outcry is a bigger geopolitical
so the yellow
issue.
cake is the...
Yes.
So this coup is actually a bigger geopolitical issue, a battle of bigger entities who are facing, because it says that also it's got petrol, Niger, and also it's got gold as well in there.
Oh, that's interesting, brother.
So those are very, very interesting.
So if one article in the Vox is saying that on Sunday, the ECOWAS leaders, they've been pressuring Chiani, the military leader, to release President Mohamed Bazoum. So I wanted to sort of understand what could be causing the ECOWAS countries to pressure the military leaders to release this guy. Is it because they're getting too much pressure from the Western countries because of the interests?
Probably, man.
Probably because I think the two countries which are backing Niger, who are backing the military leaders, is Burkina Faso and Mali, and both of those were suspended from ECOWAS. So if you look at the list of ECOWAS countries, you've got Benin, Burkina Faso, Cape Verde, Gambia, Ghana, Guinea-Bissau, Ivory Coast, Liberia, Nigeria, Senegal, Sierra Leone, and Togo. All those are pretty much pro-West countries.
I think generally there's just a growing, bitterness from African countries towards colonial powers, as it were. because, like you said, they haven't really been kind on Africans. They colonize them, and at the end of the day, they expect the very same countries that they colonize to pay them large amounts of money. I remember even in like for example, Zimbabwe had what they call legacy debt, which was still being paid to the UK's years after the independence. So you find a lot of African, not even African countries, a lot of countries in the third world have this issue. And a lot of these leaders have begun speaking up. Even the guy from Kenya, the president from Kenya, was also speaking up against these guys. I'm forgetting what meeting they had gone to. And I mean, there's just a lot to talk about. Like these guys, you remember was it the Queen's funeral? These guys were were set in a bus, But when these presidents come to our countries, they're given luxury cars. So I mean, just exactly, just that little, sentiments have just not been shared by these colonial powers as well.
Mm-hmm. And I think back to Joe's question about President Bazoum, who was ousted. There was, according to an article in the conversation.com, they said the first debate was one about his ethnicity and legitimacy during the last election campaign. That Bazoum is from Niger's ethnic Arab minority and has been labeled as having foreign origins. That's one of the reasons which they're giving. And this did not sit well with the military circle, which is predominantly composed of larger ethnic groups, even though Bazoum got about 56% of the vote. So now they talk about ethnicity at this stage, but this guy, and I think in our production meeting when we raised some of these facts, Tina's was like, why are they talking about ethnicity now if this guy won 56%?
Yeah, I mean, these people obviously knew who he was way before the election was done. So why is it an issue now that he's won? Why are we raising that? And I think a lot of times when you start hearing things about ethnicity or where one person comes from and all that, there's definitely influence from other people, and they're just looking for a foothold to stabilize their to get their their agenda on the road. And in the background, there are things that are happening that we might never understand, but for what everybody can see and understand, they want to talk about something that is common to everybody, if I could say. So something like, oh, he's not part of us because he's from there. Everybody knows, oh, so if you're coming from that area, so definitely you could be somebody who who is not part of us or whatever it is. But the fact that people voted for him when they knew who he is and where he came from, I don't see what the problem is now.
Yeah, because further on in that article, they say there's a lot of emphasis on the ethnic military composition in the country. Understanding this helped the former president, Issoufou, complete 2 terms as president. Appointments in the military are made along ethnic lines. Again, that's one thing which keeps us as Africans a bit backward, isn't it? It's
no, but is it us though?
Look, I'm just talking from an African standpoint. There's a lot of this ethnic thing. One tribe has to be in leadership, has to have the key positions. I think that holds us back. The best qualified person needs to be there. I think also in some other Middle Eastern countries, it's the same thing. A particular, sect or a particular, group of ethnic background should be in leadership. And it holds us back. It should be the best qualified person who's in leadership positions. But going back to Bazoum, we can continue. Joe, you wanted to say something?
No. I wanted to add on to what you were talking about in terms of leadership by merit. Unfortunately, in most situations, especially in Central African countries, because of the resources that a lot of foreign players are eyeing for those resources, the people who end up in leadership are placed by those foreign interests so that they safeguard their interest within that nation.
There you go.
No matter how democratic it might be appearing, but they are foreign entities, foreign powers, foreign corporates that are actually pulling the strings
Exactly.
to put that leader in place, despite him or her not having the merit of being in that position.
Do you guys know how much France makes from them being the main powerhouse colonial power in West Africa, in largely West Africa? They make about 9.5 billion euros.
Wow.
That's a lot of money of just making it simply because you're a colonial power. We're not even talking about what they make from business ventures and things like that. This is just simply by gaining back monies that taking back monies that that they say these countries owe. It's crazy.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy. So, to our listeners, as I said, this is a fluid situation. It's something which commenced from the 26th of July. So it's a fluid situation. We'll continue to monitor Niger politics. It's very interesting in a geopolitical landscape as we have all these things happening around the world. The extension of the influence of Russia as it wants to extend itself into other regions. So let's watch this space. Let's watch how it goes. Leave your comments, leave your thoughts again on our YouTube, Facebook, on our Twitter pages, and let us know what you're